Hello, everyone. Thank you for spending the evening with us today. My name is Dennis Lam, and I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of IoT Block. To get started, I want to bring up a fact. From what I hear today, majority of the attendees today at this event are part of maybe a variety of different world-class companies producing world-class products. And within the last 15 years, the statistic is that 52% of Fortune 500 companies actually disappear. So the question I want to ask is why and what caused that disappearance? And who survived this extinction? How many of you are familiar with this vehicle? This is a McLaren. It's a very fast sports car, high performance driving. Did you know that today, this company is no longer just a car company, a mobility company. Actually, it's a data company. It provides high-quality, data-driven services for healthcare to help shape performance athletes. It used what it had, a data engine, to process data to enable its high-performing sports cars in a different vertical. And I just want to bring up this story because it shows a company that come from a very legacy industrial past that has a vision to pivot into a more data-driven digital transformation future. If the leadership is aligned, then a lot of magic can happen to the company, such as what happened to McLaren. So today, what we realize here in Silicon Valley is the best companies many of them are reinventing themselves to be away from products. They want to future-proof their business. So just like what Dr. Piao earlier today mentioned, Daikin is focusing on pivoting into services, how to provide better services to customers, because they understand that the way people, you and I, and even our children, the way we purchase and make decisions have shifted today. Instead of focusing so much on the value of ownership, for example, a lot of these individuals care about on-demand services. I want things now. They expect personalization and customization of services. There is a philosophy I learned, and I know the Japanese have really practiced this for many decades, and they're really good at it. It's called Kaizen. Translation, it means art of constant improvement. And I think this is something that, I'll talk a little bit later about what I learned, with my experience working with Daikin, but it's something that a lot of customers also expect from products today. They don't expect a product that will go down in value over time and then it becomes outdated. They expect services, a layer of services, new features, and things to constantly improve. And that creates a whole different dynamic on how businesses should be run. Today is the age of the customer. If you take a look at majority of Fortune companies, a lot of them are now using data in very creative ways to create a customer-centric, relationship-centric type of business model, whether it is intelligent communities, predictive marketing, unified commerce, smart applications, etc. And while I personally don't have visibility on Daikin's entire business strategy, my interactions with a variety of executives within Daikin hints to me that they really want to pivot into next generation data-driven service models to service their customers all over the world. So where does IoT Block fit into this specifically? Well, we do three things. The first thing we do is we help companies acquire data if they don't have the ability to do so. We specialize in two types of technologies. One is NFC, near field communication. Apple Pay, if you know that on the phone. 9 out of 10 mobile phones these days have NFC built into it. Compare that to 5 to 8 years ago, where only 2 or 3 out of 10 smartphones have it. So we truly believe that NFC technology, there'll be new service ideas, new opportunities arising from this specific technology. And 9 out of 10 consumer smartphones have NFC, right? It's an advanced version of RFID, which is radio frequency identification. The second thing we do is we make this data useful. analytics, insights, etc. I'll talk more about use cases in a second. And third, in certain specific use cases, because today, as once again, Piel-san mentioned earlier, the entire value chain, right, from sales to manufacturing, everything is all connected. You can imagine there are so many different parties and organizations that Daikin or your company may be working with. How do you have all of these companies have that data trusted, standardized, have a single source of truth? So one of our specialties is applying this data using blockchain technology to achieve this. Some of the use cases we've worked with various clients over the past few years are consumer behavior insights to understand how the consumer is using a certain product. So for Daikin, for example, at the very high level, they have a lot of data that comes from their air conditioners. They want to understand more of their consumers before they can provide certain services to them. And then how do you engage with these consumers? Brand protection. If the company wants to have e-commerce initiatives, they want to have authentic reviews of products, dispute resolution, et cetera, right? Data analytics. So there's a lot of uses from the ability to capture data and have it valuable. So I want to spend a few minutes to talk about our experience working with Daikin. So I was asked to speak today and share with you our stories on our experience going through the Daikin Challenge, getting selected, and currently undergoing a live POC with Daikin. So IoT Block, we're one of 19 companies selected to be part of the plug-and-play Silicon Valley IoT vertical in Q1 of this year. And one of our first events was basically being part of this challenge. And in this challenge, we were in this, if you saw the previous speaker, there was 2 batches, right? Or there's 2 challenges. We're in the second one, which was more focused specifically on business use cases, on how data from the air conditioners, how that can create new services or business use cases. So one of the things that, this is, by the way, the first time I've seen a presentation on Daikin explaining how this challenge worked. And I was very impressed because, myself as an entrepreneur, as an investor, I've worked with multiple Asian enterprises, companies. And one thing I notice is, especially Japanese companies, is usually they're very perfectionistic. So they like to do things to make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed before they execute, right? But one thing is, I was surprised at how fast, the rapid pace, how Daikin operated. The moment they saw a pitch from all these different companies, they have these events to follow up, to make decisions, and immediately get into a contract, NDA, the whole 9 yards, and get started, right? So that speed is pretty much, I would say, at the top 5%. Because there are a lot of companies where they love the idea, but then they have to communicate back to their executives, and they got to make decisions, and they're not on the same page. But I think one of the experiences working with Daikin is their team and their innovation lab here in Silicon Valley are very much on the same page. They know what they want, and they go after it. So from an entrepreneur perspective, we enjoy a lot working with them because we don't have to deal with a lot of the politics. We can go straight into solving a problem, which our engineers like to do, right? And one of the things we want to do is creating a data-driven Daikin. So on one aspect, Daikin is working with certain companies like Sensio earlier on how to better use the data to understand the air and the quality and more specific to the science, right? Well, on the other hand, on the business side, and that's why they had a second challenge, they wanted to also use that data to provide new services to these customers, even if it may not have direct relationships to the actual science of the air, right? And so that's the area, that's what our POC is involved at the very high level. Unfortunately, I cannot go into very specific details to certain NDAs. However, one of the things that I would like to mention is Daikin, within the next couple years, they want to pivot into providing e-commerce. They want to pivot to have a direct relationship with customers as opposed to relying on third parties. And in order to create that direct relationship, they need to better understand their customers and make use of that data and have a way to collect and aggregate this data from their customers. So in short, the team that I work with currently engaging with Daikin is myself. I'm an engineering background. I graduated in '07 from Berkeley, up here in NorCal. Our CTO is Michael. He has a 15-year experience as a software developer for numerous Fortune companies, and he has also built various data-driven e-commerce platforms, which is, for example, one of the recent products that he built is for a project that currently has over $600 million of revenue processed through his platform, and they have about 5 million users on that platform. We also work with data scientists from some of the top universities here in Silicon Valley. Danny, for example, just exited a company last year. They basically use big data to be able to predict fraud in consumer financial transactions, et cetera, all right? We also have, very glad to mention, one of our board of advisors. He's one of the early co-founders of Google AdSense. So if you know Google, their main advertisement engine is, or the main revenue source is from advertisements, how to use data and link to advertisers and e-commerce. So Rex here is one of our key advisors. He's been very helpful in able to take a lot of this highly technological and scientific processes and turn it into monetizable business models for companies, especially in e-commerce, advertising, engaging customers and consumers. So with that said, I want to thank everyone for your time today. If you would like to get in touch with me, simply open your phone and scan my QR code. My contact information is in there. I look forward to talk to anyone that have questions after this, and we look forward to work with Daikin to create a data-driven Daikin to serve customers. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Dennis. Thanks for all the insights. That was very interesting. So next up, I'd like to invite Mitani-san on stage here to talk a little bit about some announcement, what Daikin is working on now starting in November.